My hubby Jake is kinda distant. After a decade of tying the knot, he never once said he loved me. Just moments before I kicked the bucket, I stumbled upon a love letter he'd been crafting for ages. But it wasn't for me. Turns out, he was just plain indifferent. The first thing I did after getting a second shot was ditch our engagement and push him to hand over that letter. He flipped out, yelling at me for the first time ever. Mia, who asked you to interfere? An hour before the elevator crash, I discovered an old love note in the attic. The handwriting looked familiar, but the name on top wasn't mine. It was a sweet letter Jake wrote to some other girl. As the elevator crashed down, all I could think was, I never got to see who he really cared about or what she looked like. Was she way better than me? When I woke up again, the sun was glaring painfully bright. My head was foggy, and my bestie Emma sighed, holding my hand. Finally, you're up! You freaked me out. Luckily, someone nearby acted fast and got me to the ER. The girl in front of me was decked out in a high school uniform, her face glowing with youth. It made me hesitate. 17-year-old Emma? The warmth in her hand told me this wasn't a dream. I genuinely had a second chance. I heard footsteps outside, and a figure quickly showed up. You good? Jake asked coolly, holding bread and milk. Suddenly, memories flooded back. I overslept that morning, missed breakfast, and passed out during gym class from low blood sugar. Jake handed me the grub and watched until I ate it. He had a physics test that day but skipped it for me and got scolded by the teacher. Back then, at 17, I was clueless about how sweet it felt that he cared. But with my 32-year-old brain, I realized Jake only did it because he promised my dad he'd take care of me. Jake's dad and my dad were war buddies. After his dad passed, his mom took the compensation money and left. Seeing Jake all alone, my dad took him in. So since he depended on others, Jake always followed my dad's advice without ever questioning him. From that point, Jake became my little shadow. Everyone joked behind our backs, calling him my obedient little fiancé. Later, my dad noticed my feelings and teased Jake about becoming our family's son-in-law. Jake stayed silent. I once thought he was just shy. Now I see how naive I was. In class, I couldn't concentrate. I kept replaying my past life in my mind. I didn't want to mess up Jake's life again. If I didn't marry him, he might find more happiness, and maybe I wouldn't die. During evening classes, the teacher held us an extra 10 minutes. When class ended, everyone bolted out. While packing up, I saw Jake hanging by the door, staring at his notebook filled with mistakes. The light made him look even colder and more detached. We left the building in silence. Jake was always like that. Cold, indifferent, uninterested. Suddenly, I stopped and glanced at his back. Jake, you can head back. No need to wait for me anymore. Don't follow me either. Why? No reason. You're free, Jake. I walked towards the alley behind school, planning to grab some workbooks to tackle my awful math. Jake caught up, asking coldly, "What's up with you? Is it 'cause I was late this morning or you didn't dig the milk I got?" It was the only flavor left at the store. The moonlight gave him a chilly vibe, his eyes saying, "What little game are you playing now?" I tried to explain. It's not that. The college entrance exams are coming up. Everyone's time is precious. You don't need to waste yours on me. I gotta work hard too. Jake stood there, likely surprised by my words. I used to cling to Jake. I didn't get into a top-tier college, but Jake did. In the end, he stayed local because of something my dad said. I stupidly thought he did it because he liked me, but was just too shy to admit it. He must have regretted it, since it was his dream school after all. Jake didn't follow me that time. I hit up a bookstore, picked a few workbooks, and grabbed a writing journal. When I went to pay, I realized my money was gone. I searched the store but couldn't find it. No clue if I dropped it or got pickpocketed. I sighed, deciding to come back tomorrow, and turned around, bumping into someone. The person yelped, dropped their comic book, and scrambled to pick up their barbecue bowl. Sorry. Oh, it's you again? Lazy tone, but recognizable. I looked closer. It was Harry, a friend I met in college. How did I meet him now? Quite the coincidence, classmate. I carried you to the ER this morning. You all right now? Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I was shocked to realize we had such a history. I didn't know that from my past life. Harry picked up his comic, saw me hesitating, and went ahead to pay for my books. Saw you wandering the store, looked like you were searching for something. What lost your money? I nodded immediately. No wonder this guy studies forensics. His observation skills are on point. I promised to pay him back tomorrow. Harry waved it off. Just treat me to lunch then. We left the alley. The street was quiet at night with a few students passing by. Harry noticed some troublemakers smoking nearby and insisted on walking me home. He grabbed a black motorcycle from the garage. Both the bike and he looked flashy and cool. After dropping me off at my building, that loud engine finally died down. Worried a neighbor might throw water or yell, I asked him to keep it down. Harry chuckled. Quiet's not really our style, but it sure is a beast. It sounded a bit off. Just as I was about to say goodbye, Harry lowered his voice and raised an eyebrow. You know that guy? He hasn't stopped watching you. I turned to see Jake slowly approaching from the entrance. Strange, didn't I tell him to head home? How did he get here slower than me? Yeah, I know him. Harry seemed satisfied, waved, and zoomed off gracefully. Jake joined me in the elevator, and a silent tension filled the air. When the doors closed, he suddenly spoke. So that's what you mean by working hard? Nah, it was just a coincidence. How convenient. His tone was flat, not showing any care. I didn't say anything more. At home, after finishing his homework, Jake would always go shower. While he was in the bathroom, I sneaked into his room and found that love letter. He always hides stuff in the same spot, under a pile of books, easy to find. I opened the letter but couldn't figure out who this Lisa was. Could she be a classmate? With how distant he is, I doubt he could ever win anyone over. Maybe I should help him out a bit. The next day, I showed up at school with dark circles under my eyes. I spent the whole night investigating, and there wasn't any girl named Lisa in Jake's class. Math class was as confusing as ever. Even if I was reborn, I don't think I could solve these problems. The gap between Jake and me is something I guess I can't bridge. At lunchtime, I planned to grab a bite with Harry, but Jake was waiting for me at the door with my favorite pastries in hand. I told him, I already said you don't need to wait for me anymore. Just do your thing. Oh, he handed me the bag. Thanks, but you don't need to get these for me anymore. Jake gave me a puzzled look and sighed softly. Mia, what did I do to you? You've been avoiding me lately? It's not you. It's me. I just figured some things out. As I started heading to the cafeteria, I remembered something and turned back to tell him that, seriously, by the way, when my dad joked about making you his son-in-law, he was just kidding. Don't take it seriously or feel obliged to listen to him. Good luck with your college entrance exams, Jake. Go to your dream school. Jake frowned, looking confused about why I was saying all this. I got to the cafeteria where Harry had already saved us seats. What's that? Harry glanced at the bag I was holding. Egg tarts. There for you as a thank you for helping me yesterday. You don't have to say thanks. Harry waved it off but couldn't resist trying one. As the smell hit him, he ended up munching a few, getting crumbs on his mouth. I was just about to tell him when a cold voice popped up. No wonder you ditched me. Are you two dating? Harry was startled, almost choked. I turned to face Jake's cold stare, feeling like I'd been caught doing something wrong. But wait, I'm not with him anymore. Harry noticed the tension and made an excuse to grab some food. It's not like that. Harry and I just met. We're just classmates. I wasn't lying, but Jake impatiently cut me off. No need to explain. I won't tell your uncle. No need to avoid me. He said it coldly, turned around, and left, clearly upset. Harry came back whispering, "Who was that guy? You two seem interesting." I gave Harry a short version of what was going on. He chuckled knowingly. Oh, childhood friends, huh? He seems to care about you. No, he doesn't. Jake probably can't wait to ditch me. After school on Friday, Emma wanted to check out a new dessert shop across from our school and dragged me along. It had been around forever, and Jake got my egg tarts from there. Emma ordered 2 mango mousses. While waiting, I overheard an employee mentioning they were short on lemons. Consulting with the owner, I saw a girl in a school uniform slip into the back. The owner's daughter, maybe. Her name's Lisa. I saw her on an English essay contest participant list before. She's a top 50 student in our grade. Yeah, she's done a lot of contests, good at studies. She and Jake must know each other. No wonder Jake often brought me desserts. He probably came by to see her. He always seemed in a good mood after. I naively thought it was for me. A dull, sour feeling rose in my chest, which I pushed down. I wanted to confirm if the Lisa in the letter was this Lisa. so I approached her when she came out. Hi, Lisa, I'm a friend of Jake's. He accidentally left something with you. Huh? Did he? Lisa seemed puzzled and flipped it through her bag. He only helped me with 2 math problems and lent me his notes. I don't think he left anything. So they do know each other. I noticed the familiar orange-covered notebook and gave that to Jake. I used to ask him math questions, but he seemed annoyed. I felt too embarrassed to say I didn't get it and eventually stopped asking. Guess I was mistaken then. I'll let him know. I left with Emma, who was excitedly handing me the mango mousse, but I had no appetite. Such disappointment makes everything taste bitter. Why aren't you eating? Is it not good? Emma nudged me. Hey, what did you say to Lisa just now? Oh, nothing. How do you know her name is Lisa? Emma looked around and quietly said, a friend mentioned she's the owner's adopted daughter. That stuck with me. Oh, now I knew who the letter was about and felt somewhat relieved. I wondered what emotions Jake carried when writing that letter. Lisa is so lucky. I thought back to when I confessed to Jake in sophomore year. What did he say? Oh, he said, got it. His tone was so indifferent and distant, like it was a hassle. That night, after sorting out the wrong answers, I planned to memorize some English words. My phone lit up. Harry sent me some documents. These are math worksheets my mom made. Give them a go, ask if you need help. His mom's a math coach, which means extra prep for me. I thanked him and sent a meme back. But then the room door swung open. Jake came in with a dark expression. It was the first time he hadn't knocked. Did you mess with stuff in my room? He didn't say what, but I knew. Feeling guilty, I took out the letter from the drawer. Sorry, I didn't mean to snoop. I intended to play matchmaker, but here we are. Jake took back the letter, clearly annoyed his secret was out. Feeling a bit sour inside, I gathered the courage to say, I know who the letter's about. That girl from the dessert shop, right? Since you like her, maybe tell her soon. She's so amazing. What if someone else beats you to it? The college entrance exams are soon. After that, you can properly chase her. No need for excuses to buy sweets for me. Who asked you to butt in? He stared at me, anger in his eyes. I just want you to be happy. Happy? He scoffed coldly. Seems like ever since you started dating, you're in a hurry to pass me off to someone else. You said you liked me before, huh? Changed your tune fast. I was stunned, didn't expect him to think that way. You don't even like me. Do you think I'd hang myself because of you? I snapped back, frustrated. Yeah, well, don't go doing it here. I don't need the bad vibes, he said coldly, then turned and slammed the door behind him. I bit my lip, trying hard not to cry. Damn you, Jake. I'll never like you again. I didn't talk to Jake at all that next week. My dad thought we were just busy studying, so he didn't say anything. On weekends, I'd hit the library with Harry to tackle practice tests. He's smarter and quicker with ideas than I am and helps me with my work. When I'm stressed, he takes me for rides on his black bike. I felt hopeful about the future, thinking we'd be best friends for a long time. Maybe it was my double efforts, but I moved up over 10 places on the monthly test. My dad was beaming when the teacher called him with the news. Jake, overhearing as he made coffee, gave me a sideways glance and snickered. Wow, guess dating doesn't mess with your grades. Well, same to you. I shot back. You didn't flunk out while crushing on someone, did you? I threw that at him deliberately and retreated to my room, avoiding his heavy expression. The college entrance exams were just a month away. That's when I was most focused, just immersed in prep, ignoring thoughts of romance. June hit with a heat wave, just like the exams. I was prepared this time, feeling confident as I started. I managed to answer even the last math problem I used to skip. Not sure if it was right, but I tried. When the final bell rang, ending the test, my high school days officially came to a close. Stepping out of the exam hall, I saw Lisa talking to Jake. She seemed stressed about a question, anxiously checking answers with him. Lovers see beauty where others don't, I guess. Jake always had more patience with her. I walked past them, heading straight for Emma and Harry. We'd promised ourselves a day at the amusement park, karaoke, and fun once exams were over. While waiting for the results, I was out having a blast every day. My dad didn't bother to stop me. Surprisingly, Jake called every day, asking when I'd be home. If I came home late, sometimes Harry would give me a ride. Whenever Jake saw us, he'd get all sarcastic and snarky. Like today, it's my 18th birthday. I didn't get home until after midnight, a bit tipsy. Harry didn't ride his bike, he walked me back slowly. Downstairs, he suddenly stopped me. Mia, can I be the one to do your birthday with you every year? It was too dark to read his expression, so I thought he meant as friends. Sure, you're my bestie after all. I gave his shoulder a few hard pats, making him cough a bit and hiding that flicker of disappointment. Easy there, or you won't have a bro left. We laughed together. That's when we saw Jake taking out the trash. He eyed us, obviously irritated. Hey Mia, it's past midnight. Not gonna head home? Yeah, better get inside. He's nagging. Harry teased softly, waving, reminding me to drink some honey water before bed. On the ride up in the elevator, Jake was still on my case. It was the first time I thought he talked more than an old lady. Why are you pestering me? I'm already here, aren't I? He hesitated, his tone odd. Bugging you? You promised you'd be home by 10. From now on, what if something happened to you? How would I explain to your dad? This was a special occasion, and I was with Harry anyway. There was no danger even if I didn't come back. I'd have somewhere to go. You think you can roam around because you two are dating now? Jake's voice got serious, cautious. I shot him a curious look. Why are you so worked up? He didn't answer and looked away awkwardly. At home, while pouring myself some water, he spoke up. How come you didn't invite me to your birthday? Oh, I forgot. Honestly, I didn't forget. I just didn't want old stuff ruining my mood. Jake glanced down, looking downcast as he fetched honey from the fridge. After a bit, he handed me a blue box. Happy birthday. Thanks, but you don't need to get these for me anymore. I drank my honey water, feeling zero curiosity to open his gift. He lingered like there was something else he wanted to say, but just went to his room without a word. I couldn't care less about his gift. He always gave me stuffed animals each year, those you get free with a QR code at some promo. I still have all those toys lined up by my bed. With little enthusiasm, I opened the box and froze. It was a hand-knitted doll, a little girl with a sunflower backpack, just like me when I was little. A clear newbie made it, with 2 visible stitch mistakes. He actually made this himself? Something truly rare in my life, for sure. The day my test scores came in, my dad stayed with us to check them. Jake wasn't surprised, scoring an impressive 698. When I saw Jake's score, my tears just flowed. Oh, thank goodness. You've both made me so proud. My dad teared up and patted my head, promising to take us out for a feast. He snapped a pic of the scores and quickly posted it online to brag. So, Mia, what college are you thinking of? Decided yet? I'll stick with a local one. I want to be near Dad. Emma and Harry are staying in state too, I think. Great. Then I won't have to worry about you in some strange place. Last time around, my scores were only good enough for a nursing program. Now I can apply to med school. Mom passed away when I was little, back when healthcare wasn't that advanced. So I want to do what I can to help out. Jake didn't seem surprised by his score. I bet Lisa's scores were close too, so they can both hit a top school. Good for them. While Dad was on the phone, Jake suddenly asked me, You want to stay local because of Harry, right? Do you like him that much? What's it to you? I was getting annoyed. He was all up in my business lately. Jake locked eyes with me, not as indifferent as before. Mia, just say the word, and I'd stay in state too. No need. Your grades are too good to waste here. Go for your dream school. Lisa will likely be there too to keep you company. I never gave her the love letter. Oh, right, then my phone buzzed with Harry's call. I was about to answer when Jake grabbed my wrist, upset. Don't you care at all? What do I care about? Do I care about you? Who said not to put all your eggs in one basket because it's bad luck? I threw his words back at him, and his face turned pale. I shook off his hand and went to the balcony to answer the call. Harry's parents work in the same state, so he stayed here and picked the same college as me. Great, we can ride our bikes together again. After that day, I didn't pay much attention to Jake's whereabouts. Whether or not he was chasing Lisa had nothing to do with me. The summer break flew by. I spent my days hanging out with Harry, learning how to drive, and getting my driver's license. I got quite a tan. Jake received an acceptance letter from Cambridge University and left without saying goodbye, as if he was pissed at me. Med school life is super busy, so much to learn. I spent my days shuttling between the library and the classroom. Harry had to schedule around my studies to take me out for a meal. At finals, looking at the 2 thick books in front of me, I felt like crying. Seeing me lose weight, Harry often brought me food and helped me review. Why do you look so relaxed? Don't you need to study? I asked him. It's all in my head. He shrugged. I envy everyone with a good memory. Probably because Harry came to see me often, my classmates started to gossip, thinking he was pursuing me, and I kind of felt something special from him too. But since Harry acted like nothing had changed, I didn't bring it up. After the exam, I celebrated Harry's birthday at school, but all I could think about was whether I got my pathology questions right. Looking at the candles, Harry smiled and said, I don't have any wishes. How about I give them to you? Mia, don't be so down. From now on, all my wishes are for you. Will that make you smile? I forced a smile, taking him up on the offer. I hope I pass all my classes, please. Consider it heard by the universe. He blew out the candles, his eyes filled with affection. When I went home for summer break, I saw Jake again after 6 months of no contact. He was still studying law and seemed busy with debates and club activities. In the 2 weeks he was back, we got along like strangers. Until Thursday night, Jake went out with friends and came back late. I was about to sleep when I heard a loud stumble by the doorway. I came out to see Jake slumped on the floor, looking defeated. What's up? Drunk too much? I was about to make some honey water for him when he suddenly grabbed my wrist. Mia, I saw Harry today. And? I replied flatly, not realizing it got on his nerves. Jake stood up abruptly, pinning me against the wall, his eyes filled with complex emotions. Why didn't you tell me? Why let me misunderstand for so long? Was messing with me fun? Do you even know He trailed off, his eyes red, on the brink of tears. I looked at him blankly. Inside, I wasn't completely unaffected, but felt ridiculous. Jake, I explained back then, you just didn't want to hear it. What right do you have to question me now? Silence. He seemed to remember seeing me with a guy at the cafeteria long ago, and admittedly feeling unhappy at that moment. The feeling had just grown stronger over time. Jake wiped his eyes, summoning the courage to look at me. Mia, I think I can't let you go. Can you keep liking me? I'd imagined this scenario many times before, but now it was too late. No. Why? He panicked, gripping me tightly. Why? Is it because of that love letter? I didn't know what I was doing before. I couldn't distinguish between admiration and liking. I don't love Lisa. I just felt a connection with her. Really? But I never felt your affection for me. All I felt was your impatience and indifference. Give me a chance. Let's start over. I'll show you. Okay, he pleaded, his drunken eyes fixed on me like I was his last hope. But he didn't realize how much he was hurting me. I pushed him away a few times, but he refused to let go. The more I resisted, the more agitated he became. Mia, please love me again. He leaned in to kiss me. Panicked, I slapped him. The sharp sound shattered the quiet night. The pain snapped him back to reality. Jake, I'm sorry, Ignoring his explanation, I escaped to my room. The next day, I tried to pretend like nothing happened, but guilt filled Jake's eyes whenever he looked at me. At noon, Harry came to pick me up. We planned to see the latest movie. He knocked lazily, wearing sunglasses just to show off. When I opened the door and he saw my tired expression, he looked worried. What's wrong? Are you sick or in a bad mood? It's nothing. I reached for my hat when he suddenly grabbed my wrist. A red mark, slightly bruised, clearly from pressure. Who did this? His awareness was like a cop's. I did it by accident. I lied. Harry didn't buy it. Eyes darting towards Jake on the couch, he rushed over, yanking Jake by the collar. Did you hurt her? Yes. Jake, having watched us, was already irritated. Harry punched him. Scared, I quickly held him back. But Jake, seeking a way to vent, started fighting too. I panicked, shouting for them to stop. If Dad came back and saw this mess, we'd be in big trouble. Stop it. Can't you guys be calm for once? I pulled Harry back, noticing the cut on his face. Such a promising future police officer, yet so impulsive. Jake didn't look much better. Harry, trained to hit the sore spots, had Jake pale and in pain. Even if it wasn't immediately visible, Harry, ashamed under my glare, spoke meekly. The movie's about to start. Let's jet. No movie for you. Not in that shape. We're going to the drugstore, I said, dragging him away, completely forgetting someone else was hurt. Jake, covering his stomach, watched us leave, forlorn. After buying medicine, I helped Harry apply it. He winced from the pain. No more punching people. What you learned is for protecting others, not fighting, but he bullied you and you're defending him? Harry huffed, not quite convinced. I'm not. I'm looking out for you. If you get reported and face disciplinary action, won't that ruin your path to becoming a police officer? He paused, then smiled, though it hurt him to do so. Mia, you worry about me that much, huh? No, yes, you do. Ever since I had a falling out with Jake, he hasn't really acted out, but I think he's starting to like me again. He always tries to show it. On every holiday, he comes back, cooks for me, and gives me thoughtfully chosen gifts. Whether it's my birthday, the 4th of July, or Christmas, he's always around school. He looks so tired from all the flights, with dark circles under his eyes. I just think it's a waste of time, but all he cares about is if I'm happy. Senior year of college was also the end of my undergrad. I'd been doing a combined degree for 7 years and was moving to a new campus. Harry had to intern at the bureau and was sent on a mission, missing my birthday. Jake was in the kitchen, cooking all my favorite dishes. I was distracted, staring at my chat with Harry. What are you looking at? Dinner's ready. Oh, nothing. I wondered what Harry's been up to. Is it dangerous? Mia. Jake snapped me out of it with a cold voice. I realized he was sitting right there. You've been talking about him since I got back. Oh, sorry, Mia. When will you look at me? Let's eat. The soup looks great. Jake felt like he was trying his best. Why couldn't things go back to how they were? Late at night, as I was getting ready for bed, my phone lit up. Harry, open the window. I quickly pulled back the curtain, and there he was, holding something glowing. I ran downstairs, surprised to see him. You said you might not be back because of the mission? Yeah, but I promised someone I'd be there for every birthday from now on. He handed me a jar with glowing fireflies flickering in the darkness. Thanks, saw them during the mission and thought you'd like it. Thank you, I smiled at him, feeling like he had more to say. I had a vague idea of what it was, but he just sighed. Mia, happy birthday. While Harry was interning, I was doing my graduate studies. When he became a team leader at the precinct, I started my hospital internship. Seeing pain and death daily was tough. Then one day, they brought in several severely injured patients. Harry was one of them. He had a stab wound, a damaged spleen, and massive bleeding. My mentor worked on him for a long time before the surgery room light finally went off. I sneaked a peek at him. He was so pale it was like he might not wake up. My eyes were red as I silently prayed for his safety. Late at night, while I was studying neurosurgery notes by his bed, he moved a finger. I looked up and our eyes met. Mia? Did you save me? No, it's my mentor. I just helped a little. I checked his vitals, asking if he felt dizzy or nauseous, and noted everything down. His smile was bright. You look so professional now. Well, I did study hard for 7 years. Guess I'll be relying on Dr. Mia from now on. Don't joke about that. And try not to end up in the hospital again. He smiled, slightly brushed my fingers, but hesitated to hold them. A nurse came to call me for rounds, and I left after a few reminders. Life returned to busy routines. Harry recovered in the hospital for a month, with many colleagues visiting him. Every time I did rounds, his friends had that knowing look. But Harry never made a move. Even on the day he was discharged, he called me Dr. Mia very politely. I handed him his meds, explaining their use, a bit annoyed. Hey, Harry, anything you want to say? Like? He played dumb. I glared at him. You better never say it. In the following years, Harry was often away on missions all over the country. Sometimes he was hard to reach. Jake was still doing amazing. He graduated and joined a top law firm, quickly becoming a star lawyer. He was rich now, always sending me weird but expensive gifts, some I haven't even opened, piled up in my dad's study. Work in the hospital was hectic, barely leaving time for a meal. Jake tried visiting, but I had to leave for work most times. But he kept trying, reaching out whenever he could, sending flowers to the hospital. On bad nights when he got drunk, he'd call and repeat. Mia, what will it take for you to like me? Please, can you tell me? Why do you do this to me? You liked me first. How could you just change? I messed up. I shouldn't have said what I did. Please come back. Keep liking me. Mia, I really miss you. Feelings don't just change overnight. Through all those years together, and in our past life where we were married for 10 years, he had so many chances to say he loved me. If he didn't, well, that's that. Time to move forward. Time flew by, and suddenly I was 32 again. It was the year I died in the elevator accident in my past life. I wondered if something similar would happen this year. The phone rang, pulling me out of my daydream. Harry's lazy voice came through. Mia, my birthday's next week. What are you getting me? I chuckled, wishing you all the best. For so many years, Harry held back from confessing. We weren't officially a couple, but it felt like we were. My love life was a mess because of it, and now he wants a gift? In his dreams? He chuckled softly. The Bureau's promoting me. I'll have fewer missions and can stay in state more. Oh, then what? I feigned ignorance. Well, if I wish for something on my birthday and ask you out, do you think it'll work? Give it a go. I acted unfazed, but I felt a hint of sweetness inside. Before the call ended, a nurse rushed over, saying the director called for an emergency meeting. I grabbed my laptop and hurried. The director said there was an 8.0 earthquake in Chicago. Our hospital needed to send support. No wonder I felt dizzy earlier. It wasn't just me. I was on the list. Quickly packed and headed to Chicago with the team. The scene there was all ruins and cries of pain. We couldn't afford to be sad, diving straight into the relief work. Supplies were short, access was tough, and medicine was low. We all reached out on social media for help, and Jake contacted me immediately, offering to donate supplies. Thanks, Jake. Jake, that's it? Just a simple thanks and you're off? Yeah, I gotta get busy. Jake, stay safe and reach out if you need anything. Late at night, I was about to switch shifts with a coworker when suddenly a tremor hit. It caught everyone off guard. Get under the table, my coworker shouted. I took one step, and the ground collapsed underneath me. Dirt and rubble fell around fast. Darkness followed. I lost consciousness. The aftershock wasn't as intense as the first quake, but the damage was still significant. I was trapped below, pinned under rocks, unable to move. I had no sense of time. My body grew numb, and I couldn't feel my hands. My mouth was dry, and I couldn't even call for help. In the pitch black, I thought about that moment of weightlessness in the elevator. Was this all meant to be? Was I going to die? My phone lit up in my pocket. It was Harry calling, but I couldn't answer. This was terrible. I'd been given a second chance, but still didn't get to hear the confession I longed for. As I drifted away, losing warmth, I heard frantic voices above. Mia, where are you? It felt like I had slept for ages. When I woke up, I was back at the hospital where I worked. Mia, you're awake? Are you feeling okay? Does anything hurt? Harry looked at me with worried eyes, tears ready to fall. I shook my head. How's the rescue going? What about my coworker trapped with me? They're okay. Everything's stable now. You've been out for 2 weeks. He was both annoyed and relieved, gripping my hand like a treasure. Thank God you're awake. He lowered his head, tears hot as they touched my hand. Did you save me? Yeah, I couldn't reach you, and then my team was sent to help. Thank you. What are you thanking me for? You saved me before. We're even. Harry brought in a doctor to check on me, got me some nutritious meals, and fed me like a kid. I recovered in the hospital for a few days, with Harry watching over me. The day I was discharged, Harry was suddenly nowhere to be found. I packed my things, planning for a nice meal at home. As I stepped out of the hospital, rose petals began to flutter down from the sky. Before I could react, Harry appeared, all dressed up, kneeling with a shining ring in his hand. Mia, I like you, ever since high school, but because of my job, I've been scared to hold you back. Can you give me a chance now? Mia, will you marry me? His buddies and coworkers showered petals around us as my colleagues cheered. My face turned bright red from embarrassment. Whose brilliant idea is this? So cheesy. I covered my face, catching a glimpse of a man in a suit outside the crowd. Jake was holding a bouquet of roses, looking rushed with sweat on his forehead, looking pale. He fiddled with something square in his pocket. Mia, how long are you going to keep me kneeling? Harry asked, a nervous edge to his voice. I'll laugh, I will. The ring fit perfectly on my finger. Finally, I got what I had been waiting for. Harry hugged me tightly, crying with joy. Wow, Captain, are you okay? She's not even crying. What do you know? This is love. So jealous. Can I go back to high school? I don't want to be single anymore. That evening, I got a text from Jake. Are you really going to marry him? Mia, I've been with you the longest. Why is it him in the end? Would you consider me? I deleted the message and blocked him. Someone pulled me back and kissed me. Focus. On the day I married Harry, Jake didn't show, but he sent an expensive diamond. Seeing the gift, Harry got all sarcastic, thinking Jake still couldn't let go. He embedded the diamond in a dog collar for my dad's pet. A year into my marriage, Jake remained single. Later, when I got pregnant and had a daughter, he was still single. My dad urged him to find someone, saying so many girls were after him. He drank silently, face solemn. After dinner, Jake looked at the little one in the cradle. She really looks like you, Mia. Emicum, if only back then he didn't finish holding back his thoughts with a sigh. Harry frowned, glaring at him. What are you planning? She's my wife, legally. Quit getting ideas, Jake smirked. Legally? For now. Life's long. Divorce can happen someday. He muttered bitterly, a hint of jealousy. Harry wanted to hit him, but with family around, he held back. On the way home, Harry was fuming, wanting to curse at a passing dog. In the middle of the night, he shook me awake. Honey, where's our marriage certificate? Why? I need to hide it. You're ridiculous. I went back to sleep. He was busy figuring out hiding spots. My name's Jake. From my first day at Mia's place, I knew I wouldn't be equal to her. Though her dad treated me well, it felt different. When Mia fell, I'd get blamed for not looking after her. So I always stayed close, protecting her. People said I was mooching. I didn't argue. That's basically how it was. Relying on others, I hated it. And by association, I hated Mia too. She always wanted to stick with me, doing everything together. I couldn't refuse, but internally disliked it. To avoid appearing ungrateful to her dad, I tried to appease Mia, keeping her happy. With time, Mia grew prettier and more endearing. I found myself glancing at her often. When she caught me, I'd act cold, calling her vain. I didn't want to like her. I didn't want to lose even my last bit of pride. But in sophomore year, Mia confessed to me. I felt uncontrollable joy but forced it down. She seemed a tad disheartened by my reply, only to cling to me the next day again. Once she got sick, the meds were too bitter, and she sent me for sweets. Seeing her near tears, I couldn't refuse. At the dessert shop, I ran into Lisa. She had just messed up a cake she made, and her adoptive dad blamed her, saying she couldn't do anything right and was just a burden. If I hadn't been there, I'm afraid he would have been even harsher. I watched Lisa being so cautious and felt like I was just like her. After that, I often went to the shop with the excuse of buying desserts for Mia, just to see Lisa. Every time I bought desserts, I didn't rush back home. I'd sit in the shop, feeling like I finally got a moment to breathe. It was one of those rare times I didn't have to worry about Mia and my uncle's moods. Sometimes we'd talk about family backgrounds. Lisa would always sigh, but then she'd push through, studying hard like a stubborn little plant. I should like a girl like her. She's the only one who'd understand me. I wrote Lisa a love letter, but I never gave it to her. I always felt my feelings weren't enough and thought it wouldn't be fair to her. Recently, Mia's been acting weird. She keeps trying to ditch me. I saw her laughing, talking with Harry, so I kind of figured they were dating. All that talk about liking me disappeared so fast. I felt secretly glad, thinking I could finally be free of her. But I was a bit irritated too. Why was she into someone else? Later, I found that the love letter went missing. I instinctively suspected Mia took it, so I got a little panicked and angrily went to find her. She was surprisingly calm, as if who I liked didn't matter to her. I was really annoyed. When it came time to choose colleges, I told Mia I could stay with her. But she didn't care about me anymore. I was mad and upset, so I ran off to Cambridge University far away. Once I got there, I really regretted it. I wasn't by Mia's side, but Harry was. Mia stopped talking to me. Even when she did, Harry's name was always on her lips. I hated it. I wanted to go back to when she only clung to me. But no matter what I tried, we couldn't go back. Many years passed, and Mia and Harry never got together, so I thought maybe I still had a chance. But Mia was always busy and didn't seem to care much about me. No matter how many expensive gifts I gave her, she didn't smile at me like before. I was terrified, until Mia got into an accident during a rescue. That's when it hit me. I couldn't wait any longer. I bought a ring and flowers and rushed over. But I was too late. I regretted it so much. Harry was right. I had so many years to be there for Mia, but I wasn't. I just made her sad. I pushed her towards someone else. I don't want to give them my blessings. I just want to wish for Mia. She deserves to be happy forever.